Let's talk World Player of the Year then, because the November tests are here. That also means that by the end of this month, we will know who will be crowned the World Player of the Year at the World Rugby Awards. Well, they'll dish out a load of awards, but the big one, the best player on earth in the last year. And the criteria for this is games in 2024, basically, because I think, yeah, it's everything since the Rugby World Cup. So on that basis, who are the players that should be nominated? There are usually 4 players nominated and then 1 winner announced on the night. Who should those 4 players be? I'm going to put forward who I would pick and give you a load of other contenders as well. Your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll join you there. I'm Tim. This is Egg Chasers. Give the video a thumbs up. Hit subscribe as well. Just a quick word. World Rugby, I'm assuming there's been some oversight. I haven't had my invite for the World Rugby Awards yet. So, I'll make myself available to come to Monaco. So, I'll wait. In the meantime, if you've been watching the channel for a little while now, you'll know that I am leading a one-man crusade to make sure the position of prop and the importance of the scrum is duly recognised, with the very first ever prop becoming a World Player of the Year nominee, if not winning. And that man has to be Oxenche. When you think about some of the great props that there's been since the inception of the World Rugby Player of the Year Awards, I think it's been going since 2001, not a single prop has ever been nominated, which is a travesty. Props like Phil Vickery and Andrew Sheridan and Carl Heyman and Franz Malherbe, Stephen Kitsoff and Tyg Furlong. I just assumed that Tyg Furlong must have been nominated back when he was, at the peak of his powers. What was that, about 2018, 2019? No, didn't get a look in. Shocking. Oxenche has to become the very first World Player of the Year nominee that's a prop. And I'm leading that crusade with my marketing materials. I've already unveiled this one before. Here's another. Getting my posters going. Just trying to lobby World Rugby. Bill, are you listening? There we go. No surprises that Oxenche is the first one that is straight on my list of nominees, if not a potential winner. The guy has been absolutely immense, and he's just coming into his peak years. He's still going to get better. But this year, in 2024, he's not just been the best prop in the world, he's been one of the best rugby players, full stop. And he deserves his place on the nominees. Even if he were to get, and touch wood he doesn't, even if he were to get injured today and not able to play in November, he's already done enough to be a nominee. Fact, surely. Well, it's my opinion, not a fact, but tell me if you disagree. Or if you agree, let me know in the comments down below. He's made 9 appearances, 8 starts for the Box, 7 wins, 2 losses, several Man of the Match awards, and is a Rugby Championship winner as well. He has to be the first prop nominated. He could well, an amazing season as he's had, he could well still end up losing out on the main award to this guy, who, if you were picking the World Player of the Year right now, I think most people would probably go for Pieter-Steph du Toit, and rightly so. He has been, in rugby terms, this guy has been immortal this year. Absolutely incredible. He's started 8 tests for the Box, and he's played every single minute of those 8 games, which speaks to his importance. Quite often when the Box are putting 6 or 7 forwards on the bench, he's the one player they always keep on the field. That's how important that guy is. And to the point that he quite often wears the 7 jersey, but has worn 4 and 5 as well, and moves around. He is incredible and has had a great year. Rugby Championship winner. Again, like Oxenche, man of the match on several occasions, and quite simply one of, if not the best player in the world right now. Disagree? Let me know. I can't imagine you do. So he's a definite nominee as well. The third nominee that I would pick right now today, but a player that could be ousted from the list by some of the other contenders. So that's the way I would put it. Oxenche and Pieter-Steph du Toit, nominees, whatever happens this November. Caelan Doris is there right now for me. Now, he wasn't the best number 8 in the Six Nations. Ben Earl was. But they won the Six Nations. Caelan Doris was a big part of that. And Caelan Doris gets on my shortlist for his performances as captain of Ireland in South Africa, where he was absolutely imperious. I'd say he was the best player for Ireland. Oxenche was the best player for South Africa in those 2 matches. I reckon Caelan Doris probably edges it over Oxenche on those 2 games alone. And to come away from South Africa with a series draw away in the backyard of the of the world champions, that speaks a lot about how good that guy is as a leader. And he led his team with deeds and words. And if he has a big November, he's on the shortlist. So now we get to the players that would take that 4th spot right now, or maybe are in with a chance over the next few weeks to play themselves onto the shortlist. And I think Ben Earl would have to be in serious consideration. I've already mentioned that he was the best number 8 in the Six Nations. And with Gregory Aldrit playing for France, with Aaron Wainwright being Wales's best player, and with Caelan Doris, that is no mean feat. He was a nominee for Six Nations Player of the Year. He's been England's best player in 2024, 8 starts. And just like Pieter-Steph du Toit, he's played 80 minutes in every single game, 3 tries, most carries, most meters. And I think it's really important to look at the matchup he had with Ardie Savia in New Zealand. Yes, England lost both of those games, but he was matched up against the current World Player of the Year, Ardie Savia, and Ben Earl had the better of him. Look at the stats. Ben Earl made loads more carries, loads more meters, had loads more impact on the game than Ardie Savia, which speaks to how good a player he is. And I'm just going to float this one as well. Ben Earl at centre, maybe. I'm looking at England's 6-2 split and the lack of options they've got if a player goes off injured. And I think he could be England's little, could be like a Quagga Smith for England. And if I were picking right now, Ben Earl might get my 4th spot on the list of nominees, but definitely a player that could play himself into contention. Along with Santiago Chocobares, who has been absolutely brilliant this year. I mean, quite apart from the fact he's won everything with Toulouse, and you can't count club rugby when you look at this award, it's just on international matches. But for Argentina, he's been at the heart of everything that has been good about them. And it's the first ever rugby championship where Argentina have beaten New Zealand, South Africa and Australia in the same tournament. This guy, a massive part of it. Tomaso Manol, again, it's been a fantastic year for Italy. They had a great Six Nations, 2 wins and a draw. It was a fantastic return for them. And this guy, just like Santiago Chocobares, this guy was at the heart of everything good about Italy. And at 22 years young, he's got a massive future ahead of him. The Six Nations Player of the Year, the youngest player ever to win that award, richly deserved. And as a result, he has to be in with a shout of being a nominee for World Player of the Year, which would be a phenomenal achievement. Only Sergio Parise has been an Italian that's been nominated for that award. Bundee Aki, though, there's so many good centres in the class of 2024, isn't there? Bundee Aki, Six Nations champion, series draw away in South Africa, Six Nations Player of the Year nominee. Didn't win it because Menoncello did win it, but he was there on the shortlist. 5 caps for Ireland. I wonder if the fact he's been injured a little bit might play against him. I suppose it depends how he gets on, particularly next week in that game against New Zealand. If he shows up and has a big match against New Zealand, he could be in contention. I would say that at the moment, Bundee Aki is just behind Menoncello and Chocobares and Ben Earl in my rankings. Jesse Kriel, though, now he is a player, actually, yeah, do you know what? On my list of nominees, if I were picking it today, it would be Oxenchae, Pieter-Steph du Toit, Caelan Doris, probably Jesse Kriel above Ben Earl, actually. Now, I mean, look at it this way. Since the Rugby World Cup, and again, cannot count the Rugby World Cup in this, it's all the rugby since the Rugby World Cup, but he's played in every single game for South Africa. In fact, he started every single game for South Africa since the World Cup, and he's played every minute of the match. He's never been replaced. Well, no, he missed 2 minutes because he got a yellow card, but that's it. He is so important, and amazingly, I still think he's underrated as a rugby player by your average fan, which is incredible to say because he's a double World Cup winner and he's one of the first names on the team sheet. And as you can see from those legs, and as I've said before, the guy has the muscle tone of a chimp. If they had like if they had a bodybuilders award at the World Rugby Awards night, then he'd win that one as well. But definitely a contender for World Player of the Year. As is Cody Taylor. What a year he's had. And I think his performance in the Rugby Championship, he was the best hooker. And when you look over 2024 and the teams that New Zealand have played, he has put Jamie George, Malcolm Marks, Bongi and Banambi, Julian Montoya in his shadow. And if he does that through the next few weeks as well, he's got an outside chance. I think we're now getting to the players that are more outside hopes, but definitely deserve to be mentioned. James Lowe would be another one of those. Six Nations winner, 7 caps, 4 tries, series draw in South Africa, and he's been brilliant as a try scorer, finisher, but his left boot, so tactically important for Ireland as well. He's a massive part of the reason why they are currently, as I record this right now, the #1 team in the world. Duan van der Merwe has to be mentioned. Six Nations Player of the Year nominee, and he's got 7 tries in 7 tests in 2024, including 5 during the Six Nations, 5 games, 5 tries, a hat-trick against England. And that's the thing about him, though. And this is what may count against him. Depends if your glass is half empty or half full. If you just take the days when he's untouchable, world class, then he gets in. But if you take it on balance and you look at the games where he's a much, much quieter, then I think he probably just misses out. Consistency, bearing in mind, we're only talking about 7 games in Duan van der Merwe's case, maybe a couple more in the couple of weeks ahead. 8, 9 games, you have to be consistent. So that's why these November tests for Duan are absolutely massive, especially that game against his motherland at Murrayfield next weekend. So those are the players. I am going to mention one more name as well. Anton Dupont, a player who for some bizarre reason tends to get some rugby fans quite vexed and angry even when you mention his name. So I'm risking an onslaught in the comments just by even mentioning Anton Dupont, who will not win and will not be nominated for World Player of the Year. Well, he has got the chance to play for France this autumn, but he hasn't played for France this year. Didn't play in the Six Nations, didn't play in the summer. So consequently, it's highly, highly unlikely that he's going to be nominated unless he has the most incredible performances this November. And even then, it's unlikely. But I just wanted to mention him because of the year that he has had as a rugby player. Forget international rugby, because he went and played Olympics and the World Rugby Awards. I mean, he may end up winning Sevens Player of the Year. But in fact, that's a good shout, actually. He could well win Sevens Player of the Year. In terms of just pure rugby, I wanted to mention him, not because I think he should win or be nominated. He won't be. But because he has played, the best individual performance that I've ever watched someone play live was him for Toulouse in the Champions Cup final. Absolute genius. That 80-minute performance, well, 100-minute performance was one of the greatest individual performances I have ever seen. He's already won it in 2021. He would have won it in 2020 if they'd given out the award. He was kind of robbed by that one, and he's only 27. He'll win it again in the future. But bearing in mind, he's won the top 14 Champions Cup, Olympic gold, and has put in some of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. And here's another stat for you. He has, in the last 2 years, 54 victories in all rugby, club and country, 54 victories, and when he's been and only 7 defeats. But of those 7 defeats, 4 of them were when he wasn't starting scrum half. When he started scrum half, 54 wins, 3 defeats. His influence on rugby games is undeniable. He's not going to win or be nominated for World Player of the Year, but what a player he is. That guy has to be nominated. My nominees I'm going for then, Oxenche, Peter Steph-Toy, Caelan Doris. I was going to say Ben Earl, but I'm changing that to Jesse Kriel at the moment, but that 4th spot is all to play for. And if I had to pick a winner, it's going to be between this guy and this guy. Because no props ever won it, I'm going for Ox. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you on the next video.